Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome back to our Supergirl After Show. Tonight we're discussing not one, but two episodes of Supergirl with special guest Sean Ward. See you soon.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
A little honor of live wire here. Love it.
Oh, feeling it in the emotions.
I know. So, welcome to our Supergirl After Show. Tonight we are talking about Season 3, Episodes 10 and 11, because we didn't have a show last week. Of course, those are Legion of Superheroes and Fort Rozz. We are so excited to have Sean Ward joining us here tonight to talk all things about you, Supergirl, comic books, the whole gig.
Well, you see, I dressed up for it. I wore a right shirt, got on theme, with the attire to show my excitement for being here and for this program.
I love the shirt. And where can they find you on social media?
Oh, it's my name, Sean Ward, SeanWard. Put my name into Google, you get everything at the top of the list.
Love that. And you can find me at Stephanie Wenger and AfterBuzz at AfterBuzz TV, all over social media. So let's jump into a little bit of tonight's episode, and we'll get back to, of course, episode 10 in a little bit here. But I want to talk about Fort Rozz and this girl power episode. This was like, all the boys were out, girls were in, and I loved it. I loved every second of it.
It was actually fun. They had that whole contrivance about how the boys couldn't go.
Yes.
And that's why how they had to make an all-girl episode. Did you notice when you had the four of them all together walking, it reminded me of the Reservoir Dogs shot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's so many different movie shots that was like a throwback to.
Such a good reference. Yeah, absolutely. It was such like a moment of, I feel like they wanted Supergirl to have a team, and they made one tonight. Like, they were like, here we are, like, we're gonna take everything and do it well. And they had some issues along the way, for sure, but I love the power of that.
Well, there's also the whole point of it wasn't just like a mishmash of just, okay, ram these people together and see what happens. They actually let everybody kind of earn their place on the team over the course of the episode. And by the time it got to the end and we saw what happened with dearly departed Livewire, you hardly knew you.
I was surprised that they actually I don't want to say got rid of. She died, sadly, tonight. I was surprised that they went there with that. I would have expected her to come back and be in more episodes.
I thought that they were setting her up to be like almost like, if not a buddy or a friend character, at least have some kind of like friendly rivalry there.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like they made them squash their beef just in time for her to...
Yeah, and I feel like that death came out of nowhere. It was like, she was like, I'm gonna protect you, and then it was just like death immediately. It was a very quick like and I remember in the commercial break we were talking about like, is that actually gonna happen? And it did. It went there. So again, we are spoiler filled in this podcast, so if you have not watched the episode, please go do that and then come on back.
Spoiler alert.
Absolutely. So I love the sound effects. And let's talk about why the guys couldn't go. They had this star, I guess, that was near Fort Rozz that was poisonous to men. So that set up our kind of girls' trip, if you will, to Fort Rozz to talk to the fortress, the priestess, I believe is what they called her actually tonight. And to get information about Rain after she took Supergirl down 2 episodes ago. And they want to figure out how they can go after her. And I don't think they got a lot of information on that. I don't think they figured out the key to taking Rain down.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they really were kind of flying blind or going in and just like trying to make it up as they went along. On top of that, you got the whole thing about not knowing if you can trust the people that you kind of need to trust on this mission. So people's attentions are going to be scattered every which way, and they're like, how do you focus on any one thing while you're looking over your shoulder the whole time? It's a dangerous mission from the get-go, but who else could have taken it other than Supergirl and her her girl squad?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of those where it truly felt like it could go in any direction for them, like, because they were turning against each other at points, and then you saw moments of true friendship, which brings me to one of my favorite moments of the episode, which is when Supergirl kind of talks about her past with Monel, and kind of reveals what's going on to Livewire, and they bond a little.
Yeah, that was such an interesting moment because it's like they've been antagonistic with each other throughout the whole show, and then to now where they're actually like having a little bit of a letting their guard down, and then actually opening up to each other, and that was a really nice thing to see. It's almost like the parallel was happening between Supergirl having to open up a bit, off in space in the middle of their adventure, while down on Earth, Alex is having to sort of accept sort of her new reality, and you can almost see that the vulnerability is there with both of them. One up in space, one down on Earth.
Absolutely.
But that's what's uniting them, and that's what's kind of the parallel plot on kind of the A and the B line of the show tonight.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point. It absolutely was, that you see, and it's, again, we talk about it on our show all the time, about peeling those layers back of Supergirl. And tonight I felt like we got another whole layer of her, and figuring out who she is kind of outside of the DEO, and really with this group of women and how to be a leader. And that was really interesting to me as well. Also, we saw Irma, who, of course, is Monel's wife, join her on this mission. And we haven't had a lot of their interaction. And I feel like it's really weird because we keep getting these moments with her and Monel where there's some, like, something left there. They're not completely over each other. And so to have Irma go and risk her own life to essentially help Supergirl, you see what a good person she is.
Well, that's the thing too, is I think you want to have a character like that be multifaceted. It'd be very, very easy to paint her as some kind of, not even a villain, just sort of like some kind of, nasty person in Supergirl's life, and kind of just give her all of the traits of, exactly what you think of as, like, with the protagonist is kind of still pining for the man, so we're going to make his new woman be this, like, evil step aunt kind of figure, but they kind of make her more dimensional. They made her be part of the team, obviously, and it's so much more interesting to give these fantastical characters like this a little bit more of these down to earth qualities, and show that you don't have, especially for the young people watching, that they can see that people can, like, have differences of opinion or have kind of ways that their lives cross.
This show has so many good examples for young people watching, and Supergirl certainly is what, obviously she has the superpowers, but, like, who she is as Kara and the decision she makes, and even in this episode, how worried she was after Livewire died that, like, she could have prevented it. And you see that she lives with a being conscientious. I guess is the easiest way of saying that.
Well, I was just going to throw in right to the point that you just made. Like, there's so much about this show where it's very, very easy when you're dealing in archetypes like this and dealing in these big, superhero kind of personalities. And this show seems like it's having a lot of fun with what you just said, with kind of like, giving something that the young people are going to be able to get a good message from, but also making something that the grown folks are going to enjoy watching, because it would be very, very easy. Or rather, it's harder to do it that way. It ends up being easier. I guess the default would be if they're just gonna, like, ram it full of messages and make it really preachy and make it kind of top down like that. But they always keep it light and fun, and it always they're able to put in these positive messages, but making it entertaining and make it look like they're having a lot of fun with it.
Exactly. I think that sometimes you get stuck in, say, like a popcorn entertainment, or in, like, the after school special, and to be able to kind of have some of those after school special messages intertwined into a huge superhero, and, like, props to the writers who are able to do it, because I think it's a real challenge, and they do it really well, and I can argue that I think they do it well across the, like, DC universe on the CW.
Well, you mentioned after school special. I got to put this out there, that they the whole way that Alex addressed that younger girl's incident of cyberbullying, that was right out of an after school special.
It really was, which is a perfect transition to talk about that storyline. Yeah, I mean, some of that was pretty heavy-handed in the cyberbullying, but also an important message. And you had Alex, who this season, a main storyline for her has been wanting children, and she ended her engagement over it. And you saw that tonight she was babysitting Ruby, and she really does have that mothering instinct that she wanted to go and protect Ruby. And this girl, I have to look at her name, Erica Morrison, was bullying Ruby, and she goes and uses her FBI badge, which, by the way, super illegal.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd get in a lot of trouble for that. If anybody knew, though, you don't ask, they can't say no, right?
Right, exactly. But it's... But she uses it for good, I guess. If you're going to use your FBI badge in a not so legit way, like she's trying to get her to stop cyberbullying. But yes, that speech was very after school special.
Well, that's the thing too, though. I mean, like the fact that I'm going to get a little bit flowery and in the clouds here with this, but the fact is that like there's so much that the internet is changing everything so fast that like we do need to have somewhere in our culture where we're like addressing these issues and talking about these issues and doing what we can to make young people understand how serious this stuff is. So if you're going to tell a really fun story about Supergirl and her girl power gang going off to space, and you can actually kind of manage to hit those kind of social notes, then all the better, right?
Yeah, I think and I think networks like the CW and Freeform which have such a young demographic and millennials are watching that. They're realizing the importance of that, right? And they're putting these shows together that really kind of address those problems, and it's great to see. And to get back to Supergirl here, what do we think about Alex? Do you think that her fiance Maggie, or ex-fiance, I should say, contacts her, and she has still a lot of emotion around it.
Clearly,
yeah. And do we think that that's I know the fans are gonna. I know that she's on another show. Yes, I like logistically the actress. It would be tough to get her back, but I feel like they're opening the door for her to have like at least an episode come back.
I don't see why you wouldn't have her come back as like a recurring character, if not a regular character. And okay, she's on another show. Well, that's okay. You can schedule around things. Just shoot on a different day. Like there's 1,000,001 ways to do it. And you got to think that that's something that they definitely want to leave that possibility open. Even if they don't know when they could make that episode today, they know that they want to at some point. So they're going to write to leave that open.
I think it's also a realistic look at kind of that a relationship that means so much to you. If it ends, like there's going to be those lingering feelings. And I really love that they're kind of taking this storyline and doing that with it, because I would have hated for them to find Alex another love interest 2 episodes later, because we know that sometimes that's the way things work.
Well, you see that so often that they actually like write the breakup, and then they'll have the character get with a new love interest like in the same episode. I've even seen that before, and it's just so obvious that that's why they wrote it that way, is to get these other 2 people together.
You're just like, oh, suddenly like the coworker he had no interest, she had no interest in, he had no interest in, like what's happening? So let's talk about Sam and kind of her double life with Rain. She of course comes to Fort Rozz to take it back there, and takes out tries to take down Supergirl, and actually does kill someone tonight, which was crazy to watch. She goes after, I hope I'm saying it right, Jindea.
Jinda Kal-El.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, I was like, I am not reading my handwriting well, guys. So yeah, I was surprised that she like went for that kill, like, and again a fast kill.
Yeah, this episode was action packed. I was like, while I'm watching, I'm thinking of all the episodes I'm gonna be in and be a guest on the show for. This is a pretty good one to be watching with you. Action packed from top to bottom, and yeah, she comes in and that could have taken like the whole last third of the show. Yeah. But instead, there's just so much action they want to get to.
Exactly. This was one of those episodes where, and we'll talk again about episode 10 in a few minutes, but it felt like in some ways they were like, we are going to jam this with action, because the last episode was a little less action-packed, so this felt very heavy on action and driving this storyline forward in a lot of ways. And chat, let us know what you're thinking. Of course, you can let us know live or on Twitter. and YouTube. We read all of your comments. So please let us know if you love this episode as much as we did. It was such a fun one to watch. Of course, rate, comment, and we'll definitely read your comments next week, sometimes on the air. Also, I wanted to tell you about a really exciting show. If you're a fan of Supergirl, you should definitely be watching Black Lightning on the CW. It's the newest superhero show on the CW. Lightning's gonna strike. Black Lightning, aka Jefferson Price, has previously powered down his crime-fighting career. For the last 9 years, he's been saving lives the best way he knew how, as a principal of a local high school. But in this city, where the hero's away, the gangs will play, and this dude's a family guy. So when his daughters get caught up in the crosshairs, it's time to take charge. Now, the former hero is back in full force for a second round against corruption and violence, because lightning does strike twice. It's dark days for the city of Freeland, but the storm is coming with Black Lightning. When Black Lightning brings his power to the people. Critics are saying Black Lightning is positive, badass, like no other superhero show we've seen. The New York Post says it's entertaining, edgy piece of escapism. Tuesday, the world will know Black Lightning, an all-new episode after The Flash, only on the CW. So, an amazing show, and definitely part of our CW superhero universe here at AfterBuzz. You should definitely be checking out this show. I'm super excited. It's the second episode this week, so check it out tomorrow night. And let's jump a little bit into this season 3, of course, episode 10. It's called Legion of Superheroes, guys. The name of the episode. And this was a really interesting episode. It's a good lead-in to tonight. I've been seeing in the live chat lots of talk about Brainiac. We saw him in this episode. He played a huge role in episode 10. He, of course, brought Supergirl to Supergirl's apartment. She's in a coma, and they're trying to bring her out of this subconsciousness, and she's dreaming of a lot of different things and trying to figure out what she can do. I thought this was a really, really kind of a interesting one-off episode of Supergirl. I know you haven't seen it yet. Definitely one to catch up on, but it also brought how much Mon-El cares about Kara to the forefront. And we've seen it time and time again. We saw it again in this episode. Do you think that they're leading them back towards a relationship again, if you will?
That's another one where it seems like they really want to leave the options open and really just want to I wonder if it's a combination of wanting to see how the audience reacts to certain things and also just wanting to like tease that out for as long as they can before they give you a decisive answer one way or the other. It looks, especially with the episode tonight, that that's sort of maybe where they're pushing it, but maybe they've got some other things in mind, because there also was that that sense of the connection that they had, not even necessarily in a romantic way, but in the sense of that they're two people that have been through a lot together, and they actually have that genuine affection and caring for each other. So it's really going to be interesting to see which way that relationship goes. Is not quite able to tell just yet, but yeah.
I have a soft spot for actors who date in real life being on screen in an on-screen relationship. And so these two actors are dating in real life and adorably have been photographed around LA and Vancouver where they film. And it would be really fun for them to reunite on the show. So that's a hope for me. Also, we saw Rain still going for it at Catco. She wants to fight the criminal justice system. And we're seeing that this is going to be I feel like in the back half of season 3, the arch nemesis for Supergirl. She's certainly a worthy opponent.
No kidding. I mean, tonight was just a little taste of it, and I can't even imagine. I mean, because tonight's episode was so big and so action packed. And one thing that actually it felt very much like it could have been like a season finale or something, just because of how epic an episode it was. But then, of course, they're not going to have the villain defeated at the very end, which lets you know that we're not finished yet. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly what they're setting her up for, I think.
Yeah, it seems like and such a great job by Odette Annabelle, who is just an amazing actress and has come on this show and brought a character that I think is tough to do to life every week. And then John wants to use the sundown protocol in episode 10 which is essentially a way of using kryptonite to take Rain out. He considers her an out-of-control villain. And what they realize is that they don't have essentially enough kryptonite to do that. So they're taking, so they have to take it into their own hands. And Lena, I'll get to Lena. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at notes. It's been a minute since I've seen this episode. But Alex goes to prison to ask for advice on how to beat Rain. And she ends up getting injured, which we, of course, saw in the episode tonight. That's why she was able to babysit. And she, it was interesting to see because Alex really puts herself in danger to protect, and we see it time and time again, Supergirl, and last week's episode was no exception to that. But Kara has to figure out how to be released from this, you know, essentially a prison of her own making. She's in this coma, and we see it on the show materialize through her being in the apartment that we all know, but she's essentially stuck. She pulls on the doors, she's trying to get out, and what she realizes is that she has to like look around the apartment to find a version or a memento from her life. And she realizes that a memory comes back to her of her cat as a child, and that it was that she related so deeply to it because it was a stray and knew and didn't have a family like she did. And so this cat, and I think that's a really sweet moment in the episode. That was my favorite from episode 10. That was a very quick recap of episode 10. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, so again, tweet me. I love hearing from you guys, and we'll be sure to continue to talk about the repercussions of that in this episode. I do want to get to, we did not mention the car crash from this episode, which I certainly, at the end, this incredible car crash traps a woman, and at the end of this episode tonight. And what do you think about that? What do you think's going on?
That was
there?
a little bit out of nowhere. I was wondering about that myself. What could be even going on there? Whether they're setting up a new villain. For a minute, I was wondering if like they're going to write it so that Livewire's powers got passed to somebody else. I wonder if they've got plans to like set up who like they're planting seeds now for who the villain is going to be after Rain has done whatever they're going to do with her. Right.
Some people online were talking about that. Yeah, that she clearly has powers because has superhuman strength, I should say, and is able to like get up after that car crash. Yeah. And they were saying possibly another world killer. And so, yes, a great succession plan to Rain here. I don't know, though. It'll be interesting to see. I thought that was a very interesting way to end the episode.
What's your gut tell you? That's a villain coming up, or that's something a little more nuanced?
I think it's going to be a villain. I don't know. And again, tweet us if you're like in the superhero and you know where this comes in the book and in the books and all of that. We want to hear from you. So again, let us know. And I'm reading all of your comments. They're up, and it sounds great. Thank you for being in the live chat. It's always fun to read your comments.
There's one that went by a minute ago where one of the viewers, their hypothesis was that the actress that plays Livewire must have gotten a role on another show, and that's got to be the only explanation for why Livewire would get killed off.
No, I mean, I we all know the logistics of these shows and the filming, but like, I also think that sometimes they do have to drive their own story forward. As sad as I was to see Livewire go.
Well, and also, if there's one thing we know from comics is that no one's ever really dead, and they can come up with some contrivance to bring it back if they ever need to.
Everybody circles back. It's like a soap opera. That's really, it's really interesting that they ended this episode here. And somebody, Bria, says she's a world killer. That was me. Thanks for the shout out. Of course, we're always happy to shout you guys out. So let's let's talk about you a little bit. I want to know, I love your parodies online. You have to go check out Sean's YouTube channel. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you go into the YouTube machine and you type in just my name, Sean Ward, and even the word show at the end, and you'll get the Sean Ward Show is the channel, and we do superhero parodies. Somebody actually in the comments of one of the videos just the other day said that it's Mad TV, but low budget about comics. I thought that wasn't too far off.
Yeah, I mean, that's hilarious. I watched so many of them, and if you want to just laugh and you're a big fan of superhero everything, it's definitely something to watch. I wanted to find out, can you tell me anything that's coming up on the show?
Well, what I can tell you for sure is that we are going to, in 2018, do one of our big epic parody videos where we're trying to do something that gets the whole movie condensed into about 10 minutes long.
Okay,
So
nice.
to do these longer videos that are 10 minutes plus that are these parodies of all the superhero movies, we want to do a superhero parody video for every single Marvel and DC movie that comes out this year, at least.
That's amazing.
And we always throw in Star Wars for fun.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. The big challenge that we're stepping up to this year is getting those bigger scale epic parodies done. So Black Panther is going to be the next one. We're already furiously hard at work on that. They moved the Deadpool release date up, so now we've already got it.
Jumping on that.
Exactly. Well, May's going to be very busy. There's 3 of our movies coming out in May, so
Yeah.
that's going to be a lot of work with that. Star Wars is one of the ones coming out in that month as well. That's going to be insane. But yeah, a lot of traveling for Comic-Cons and doing these epic parody things that are like 10-ish minutes long, and people are loving it. The views are going up on these epic parodies, and
you were mentioning 1 million.
Oh my God, yeah, we just got to 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
That's incredible. I feel like that deserves a huge round of applause. Yes, amazing. Congratulations.
I felt amazing because here's the thing. I was doing my little superhero thing, and I had what I felt like was our little niche, and there was a time when I was just like, man, 100,000 subscribers. If I could get it, like, if I could be one of those kind of modestly successful channels, just even at that, I'd have it made. And then it just kept going.
Yeah.
And now it's like the #1 most watched kind of superhero channel on YouTube. Our big the Spider-Verse flash mob prank is the #1 most watched prank video on all of YouTube at 220 million views.
Yeah. Those numbers are just incredible and so exciting, and I cannot wait to see it grow even more.
Well, I think that's what it all comes down to on my end, and I know on the team's end, is that when we're doing, because this is the thing, it's a lifelong passion for us, that we love these characters, we love these movies, we love everything about it, and this is what we've been steeped in our whole lives. And so when we're making these videos, one of the things I think that sets us apart from a lot of the other people that are trying to do comedy with the characters on YouTube is really staying true to the characters and trying to do it right and try to do like something that we know is going to please other fans, while also, I mean, you say you're not the biggest comic book scholar.
No, I'm not.
But you can go watch these videos and have a good time watching them.
I had the best time, and it's so fun. If you're at all familiar with, I can't imagine anyone who's not familiar with one of these. You definitely should. I watched I think it was the Avengers trailer.
Oh, that's the newest one. We just put that one up.
Yeah, and it's amazing, so funny. And if you've seen, I believe everyone's seen the Avengers trailer. Definitely you should be checking that one out because it's hilarious. And I wanted to kind of find out about how you started your YouTube channel. What was the idea? How did you decide to do it?
Well, let me try to give you the overview as brief as I can. So, like I said, superheroes have just been like the thing that I've been most interested in literally my whole life, right? The only thing I really cared that passionately about is the next superhero movie coming out. So that's the background. So my career as an artist started when I didn't have an internet connection. I shared a computer with a roommate and had no really way to start kind of putting my creative vision out there. I started drawing my own comic books, photocopying them on the self-serve machine at Staples, and selling them to people in the street.
That's incredible.
So from that, started doing release events for each new issue that comes out, making my little movies to put them on the screen, start putting those movies on YouTube so people who are at the party can watch them when they get home. And then it all built until, so then it kind of got to where, well, let's just put videos on YouTube and skip the whole having to put on a party to premiere it and this kind of thing. The focus went on trying to build the channel. So in February 2012, do you remember when the SH word, am I allowed to swear on this?
You can swear.
Okay, so remember when shit so-and-so says was the trend? So we did kind of our take on shit Batman says, but we were just behind it enough that we decided to give it a different title because we kind of felt like the trend had crested. So called this video Batman's Night Out, uploaded it, it just went crazy. Paul Dini, who was a producer on the old Batman cartoons in the 90s, tweeted it out the night that we uploaded it, and then it just caught fire.
Amazing.
Did 1 million views in a week, and that for me was just the sign of like, okay, that's a seed that's been planted that I'm just gonna, as of right now, devote my life to like trying to build that little freak.
Yeah,
thing you
keep
can
going
never,
down that path.
Yeah, that little freakish thing that happens. You can never predict or plan for, but it did happen. Stroke of luck. So let's see what we could. So try. The rest of that year was trying to run the Batman things as much as we could. The next year was just trying to try a whole bunch of different things. But then it comes back to the superhero thing because that's what I'm most not passionate about, most knowledgeable about. So anytime that I would do superhero stuff, that's what always ended up working. And now we have literally the #1 most watched superhero channel on YouTube.
That's incredible. And how long have you been doing it? How long has your channel been?
Basically, yeah, that first viral hit happened in February 2012, and that's kind of when I say that this particular project, this channel started.
That's a fast rise. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up, and I found out that the amount of time that a channel takes to get to 1 million subscribers has gone from an average of 5 years to an average of 3 years, but the number of channels who get that far is way fewer as a percentage.
That makes sense.
That was really interesting. So for us, it took like, what, 5.5 years or something like that. But like, it's one of those things where success begets success, and the rising tide lifts all ships, as they say. So just, the more videos we put up and the more our videos are being suggested to people as they're watching other videos, the better it keeps doing. So we thought we were going to do 1 million subscribers by like the summer. Then it started backing up into like April and then March, and then it just started taking off in December. And we came in with that milestone, having hit it just before Christmas, and that was incredible.
And what do you what public appearances are you doing next? You mentioned MegaCon and a fan expo in Toronto. So tell me a little bit about what those will entail.
Well, we do a lot of Comic-Con appearances. We have been for the last couple of years. And a lot of times it's me and a cameraman and we'll go. But this year I'm actually stepping it up. I'm going to actually bring the whole team, because our cast is made up of a whole bunch of different people that are like, have their own cosplay followings in their own right.
Absolutely.
So you go on Instagram, go on Facebook, and check out their pages. They're guests at Comic-Cons even on their own merits aside from the show. But last summer I was able to take the whole squad and we went to New York for opening weekend of Spider-Man Homecoming, and we organized this massive Spider-Man flash mob meetup in Times Square, which was incredible.
That's great.
And so the big dream this year is to actually take the whole squad from the show, go to all these Comic-Cons, bring them to LA, and do this kind of thing. So we're just looking at making a lot more huge videos this year.
That's
for sure.
so exciting. And they can find all of that information, I'm assuming, on your social media, Twitter.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all on the social media. Put my name in the Google machine and you're going to get everything. And the Sean Ward Show on YouTube is what you want to be watching.
So exciting. Definitely check it out if you're in the mood to laugh. It's amazing.
And who ain't in the mood to laugh?
Yeah.
Really.
So it's definitely when you're on YouTube and you're like, what should I watch next?
After you're done with this AfterBuzz after show,
yes,
you get over to the Sean Ward Show.
Go.
That's like the after party.
Exactly. We'll go check out Sean's stuff after you finish watching our Supergirl after show.
Nice.
And with that, we're gonna do one last segment, predictions.
Nice.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ooh, our music is so fun. I haven't been in a minute. I love the music, guys. So what do we think is going to happen next on Supergirl? We had a lot of girl power tonight. We had Supergirl taking control and fighting Reign. We had Sam kind of admitting that this double life is hard for Reign. Where do you see? What's your prediction? What's happening next?
Well, it's an interesting question because tonight's episode proves, above all else, that you never know what to expect from this show, especially when they decide to do one of these big milestone episodes where they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at you, on top of having built a world out of it where literally anything's possible. Today it's a mundane thing, walking around, Supergirl staying home in a coma. Tomorrow we're sticking them in a spaceship and sending them off to a blue sun. Why not? But honestly, though, what I think is going on is that every character seems to be on this journey of really realizing how powerful they are as an individual and how much power they have. Not even just with the superpowers, but just from what comes from within, what comes from the heart, right? So we see Kara in these last few episodes sort of facing up to some of her limitations and having to address those and really understand what she can't do as much as what she can do. And I think we're going to see a lot more of her stepping into that leadership role and really playing into her limitations and knowing what she's capable of, knowing what help she needs to ask for when she does, and really kind of being a beacon for everybody in her life that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that on the show we're gonna see more of this peeling back of Supergirl, right? So in the first few seasons of the show, we certainly saw that the balance between being Supergirl and Kara, just in terms of logistics, was very tough for Kara. And now we're starting to see that some of the repercussions of Supergirl's actions, it bleeds into Kara's life. And you see her talking to Mon-El about, you know, the death of Live Wire. And I think that we're going to continue to see her go down this path of what does it mean to be a good person as Kara and still have to fight as Supergirl. And I do think that that's where we're heading. And I also think that we're going to see a real face-off between her and Rain, even more so than we have in these last few episodes.
Well, whenever we finally do get to that big final showdown between the two of them, that is going to be an episode that is not to be missed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't watch every single episode. They kind of skip through and watch the milestone ones, and that's going to be one that anybody who's even got a passing interest in this show is going to want to see. But one thing that's really interesting, following up more about this dual identity thing, this is the season where Kara's putting a lot more emphasis on the Supergirl side of that double life that she's leading. And the pendulum kind of swings both ways, right? So we saw her work really hard to be able to pull off being Supergirl, trying not to upset her responsibilities as Kara. Now we see her just giving everything to being Supergirl. Let's not even worry about building a life for this Kara person. And I think we're going to watch her come up to the limits of that and understand that you can't be all of that one all-powerful thing all the time. She's going to be learning some hard lessons about balance and about trusting yourself and asking for help when you need it, right?
I agree with you. I think that we're getting into this territory of what does it mean to be both, and also all of her friends now know that she has this double life, where in the first season it was very few, and so everybody is kind of aware of when the Supergirl side of her isn't, like, when the balance is off, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I would like to see happen in the second half of this season is that we see her kind of come to a new balance and also have time for, we haven't seen her have a love interest since Mon-El. Like, it would be nice to have her have a fully rounded life and a little more time for her friends. You still see her have sister time, but she doesn't have a lot of friendship time, and to get a little bit more, I guess, of Kara time with that amazing fight scenes that we love so much from Supergirl. So that, I think that for me would be what I would look for.
Well, one thing that to that point is that when you look at the sort of the superhero media that we consume, there's a tendency in some corners of it for the people that are writing for these characters to want to do a little bit of like a deconstructionist kind of thing. It's like they want to assert their take on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think what the writers are doing now is they're kind of going the other way and trying to get at what's quintessential about these characters, what transcends about these characters, and almost like kind of getting their own ego out of it and just really trying really hard to kind of let these characters be like the fullest fruition of those archetypes, as opposed to trying to put their own stamp on it. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, and I think that we're getting that with Supergirl, that you don't have to be one thing. You can be many different things, and I think that going back to our earlier point about great examples, that's certainly one, that you can be so many things. You can be a sister, a friend, all of these things, and how do you do everything and balance it all? And I think we're really getting more of that this season as well. Yeah,
not to mention that she's got the whole pressure of, like, on the one hand, she's got to blaze her own trail and do her own thing while also trying to live up to what that symbol on her chest represents.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of responsibility to bear, while at the same time not letting it swallow you whole. You've still got to be your own person. it's a fascinating journey to watch it happen.
I'm so excited for the rest of the season. With that, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, this is super fun. This is so fun. You guys out there, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah,
and having me in.
It was such a pleasure to have you. And you can find us always at AfterBuzz TV. We're on Supergirl. We'll be back at our normal time next week at 10 p.m. So definitely come check out the after show. And you can find me at Stephanie Wenger. And where can they find you on social media?
SEANWARD. It's at Sean Ward.
And we'll be back next week with our panel. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.